Hey guys, welcome to Life on Side Beat, a ministry of Posture Shift. We have an incredible guest here today. Well, okay, My name is Grant.
My name is Henry.
Perfect, and we have an incredible guest here today. We have our friend Steve. Steve, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself. How do you identify? Tell us more. Let's talk about you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mwendia Steve. Born and raised in Africa, Kenya. I am a Christian.
Come on, Kenya.
Yeah, I'm a Christian. Sexuality-wise, I identify as I basically describe myself in many words when I have to, but I can use same-sex attracted, stroke gay, yeah.
Okay. And so, I mean...
That's in brief.
Okay.
So, brief intro, yes, for sure. But Steve has so much to tell us, y'all. And for those of y'all listening, I'm usually not in the narrator role, but I don't mind this because Steve and I are from the same home country. If you have been listening to Life Inside B for a while, you know that I am originally from Kenya. And so is Steve. And so when we got the chance to connect with him and have a discussion, I was immediately like, yes. And I told Josh, I was like, you know what, I said, I have to do this one. And I want Grant Hartley, my sweetie angel, to do this one for me. And we got a chance to connect with Steve about maybe 3-4 weeks ago. And we wish we would have recorded that one for y'all because that was such a rich conversation.
It was lit.
But yes, and we're hopefully going to bring y'all just something just as rich and fresh. And so, Steve, thank you so much for being here with us. And yeah, let's just get right into it. You obviously know what Side B is here for us in the States. And so could you walk us through maybe how you found out about Life on Side B and your introduction to the Side B world on our end? And then we'll pause there. So just walk us into how you found about Life on Side B and then kind of how you see it on this side.
Thank you, Henry. It's quite my delight to be here. I've been listening to this podcast for quite a while, and so finding myself here is such a delight. I'd shared some of my friends that would be here and be like, "Oh, okay." Like, some of the people that I really look up to, I've been there. They'll be like, "Okay." So it's quite a joy for me to be here.
Thank you so much.
I encountered Life on Side B podcast through Living Out website.
Oh,
wow. I was scrolling through materials there, and then someone had done a review of the podcast. So after I read the review, I was like, oh, I want to check this out. So I went, and that was when you're still in season 1. So I went and checked a few of your recordings. I'm like, oh, this looks good. And from there, I've been addicted. Every week, I have to check out what Josh has posted, and yeah.
Oh no!
But specifically on the Side B world,
sometimes Josh and I, okay. I love telling listeners, especially when because Josh is essentially our producer, and when our producer can hear but they can't speak, so Josh is listening to this, and so I just love that kind of Josh really isn't talking right now. But Josh, Steve just gave you a shout out, sweetie, that he's addicted to kind of what you're posting. So, and shout out to Josh for sure, that Josh really, the fact that you created this podcast, that it's reaching people across the world, and it's incredible. So Steve, thank you for tuning in, and Josh, thank you for what you created. So yeah.
Thank you.
Steve.
I would say that, but largely on the
No, you go ahead. Perfect.
Largely on the Side B world, I encountered it through reading, and as you'll be able to know, here in Kenya we don't have Side A, Side B. We don't have that. But I encountered it specifically through books. where is sweet first put out and well explained was War of Love by David Bennett. That's where I was like able to understand. Oh, so this is how this and this looks. But that's the whole now side B. That's where I've been able to interact largely with it. Yeah. But where we are at in Kenya, we really don't have side B, side A. We're just here.
Okay. Well, last time we chatted a little bit about sort of what your life looks like day to day. And I think you mentioned you're in seminary. Can you tell us more about sort of your journey in seminary, what that's been like?
I've grown up in church, largely. So went to Sunday school when I was still young. I would say that God has been at work in my life since when I was young, and so I had my first personal encounter with God when I was 17 years old, which transformed my life in a way that now I understood. In some way, I understood the gospel well, understood what Christ came to do for my life, and that started a journey in me, a journey of yearning to work closely with God. And when I was in my early 20s, now I'm 28. When I was in my early 20s, I sensed that God was calling me to serving more. I was still serving actively at church, but I felt He was calling me to serve more in the local church. And so I decided to go to the seminary. So I'm currently pursuing a Master's of Divinity in Biblical Studies.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
It's quite a journey. Yeah, it's quite a journey. Thank you. Quite a journey. Because I'm not, as you will know, I'm not fully out as far as my sexuality is concerned. So in the seminary I'm in, it's an evangelical seminary. We, as a country, we don't talk about LGBT much. Our president said some time back that it's a non-issue. So if our country says that, then our seminary, we can't. It shouldn't be mentioned unless when it's a topic in the chapel, which I have not seen so far being addressed or being spoken about. So yeah, so I'm just here studying, writing. I do much of my conversations online, specifically Facebook, sometime on Twitter. Yeah, and I have a website. So I do more of my talking on the same online, and a little on campus. On campus, it's basically that one or two friends who would want to know or who will find a book here about LGBT, and they'll be like, oh, why are you reading this? And then I may share that. But I'm here. I can't talk about it. I'm not sure what talking about it will lead me to. Obviously, expulsion from school. Or maybe talking about it may not lead me to expulsion, but maybe me saying that this is my experience can lead me to that.
Okay, so I think when we talked last time, one thing that was really interesting to me was that you are in seminary, and then Grant, you as well are also. And as he said, he's not out in seminary, Steve is, and you are. What do you think about that, maybe in terms of like maybe the privilege we have, and certainly you obviously just being in seminary and being able to be out, versus someone halfway across the world in a very similar lifeboat, but not able to have the same experience? So what does that make you think or feel?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's interesting. I know, right? I'm just like,
Yeah, I actually I'm starting to realize how lucky I have been to be at a seminary where I know a lot of actually openly gay people. And I think that's not normal, and I'm really thankful for it. But it also makes me wonder, like, what has your coming out process been like when you're sort of you're navigating? There's not a clear divide in your life between in and out. You're sort of navigating that all the time. I think that's true for everybody, but that's especially true for you. What has your coming out journey been like, and how has that process been? How have you tried to figure out how to navigate being open or not being open about your sexuality?
Well, I came out for myself some while back. Not many years ago, in fact, because I kept running from the fact that I could be gay. I tried to run from that fact for a long time. I tried everything. I prayed. I went for counseling, and now those sort of other things that could define this. But in the year 2018, 2018, that's when I first came out to myself, especially with now the fact that, Steve, this could be your true experience. It could be that you experience enduring patterns of physical, emotional, and sexual attractions, largely towards the same sex. So, and this is what is called gay. And this could change now or may never change, and I needed to come to terms with that. So I did that in the year 2018. So the next period was to, my pastor was working with me in that process, not really in deciding, but in helping me. I'd all trying to want to overcome this. So my experience was known to my pastor that I was struggling in that. But then, 2018, when I came out to myself, I longed to speak out, specifically to encourage someone out there. Because I had been in a rough journey.
You have said this term probably 3 or 4 times past couple minutes, and I love this. When you came out to yourself, can you tell us what that experience was like, accepting yourself? Because, like, as I'm hearing that, it's making me think of my own coming out journey in my story. And I can even look in your eyes. It's like, oh, when was that moment where we came out to ourselves? So can you even just, before we go there, can you tell us what that experience was like for you when you came out to yourself?
At first, I was scared that this could be true, because whatever I knew of gay people was not something that could resonate with my faith specifically. But that day when I faced myself and said, "Well, Steve, this could be true of you. You are gay." I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, but I would say the fact that I had read stories, and that's why I'm so big on telling stories. The fact that I had read stories of people who were gay and were actively serving God or were active in their faith made me be affirmed that, they were still alive for me in the way of I use the word flourish. I could still flourish in my life journey. So so that's what it was like, the moment of getting scared but realizing, well, it's not all done. There are people who have gone through this. They have kept their faith. They have kept their service in God, and so your life is not just going to take another turn. You are not living faith. You are not, because at one time I had thought I can't be Christian and still be gay. So I knew that my being gay meant I need to live my Christian faith, which for me is, my Christian faith is very core. So I couldn't think through how that could be, but also being Christian and not acknowledging what I was experiencing I knew I was living a lie, and that was depressing me. I felt I was all an hypocrite. So I needed to reconcile that. And so when one day I had to say like, this is it. I could be, what I could be. I am a Christian, and this is my experience, and this has to work out in the end. It was all many things in one, but thankfully I had a hope. I had a glimmer of hope that things may not go as worse, and so far it's been good, I would say.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, I thought it was important to highlight coming out to yourself and that journey of self-acceptance. And so, because no matter where we are in our walks of our faith, we all certainly can relate to that. It's like that moment when we accepted, oh, this is part of who I am, and now it means I need to reconcile this with my faith, and how do I go about doing that? And so, thank you for sharing that. So,
I was.
Yeah. So after that, it's been.
You go first.
Okay, Grant.
Well, I was wondering how this fits into sort of the broader relationship between LGBT issues and faith in Kenya. Like, how does your story fit into the bigger relationship between those two things in your context?
And this maybe I may finish on the first part. That after coming out to myself, I needed to. I thought of telling my story out there. So my other coming out was now to tell a story. I wrote my first story in a free WordPress site, which was accepted largely. Strangely, I didn't expect that, but it was accepted purely because I was explaining that I've been struggling with this. I'm still struggling. And so my friends
use the word struggle.
Yes, my friends were like, okay, sorry, we'll pray for you. We also have our own struggles. I also struggled with masturbation for a while. I also struggled with this and that. And so we pray for you, and maybe you can talk to that person. I think they have a way they can help you in this, or you can do this and that. So the first writing of my story was welcomed with, we are praying for you, it shall be well. But then, so thankfully my first story, I was able to connect with one or two people who were like, I thought I was the only one in the world who was experiencing this as a Christian. I thought I was the only one who longs to please God even in this. I'm glad I found you. First, that happened when I first posted the article. I think an hour later, I bumped onto a short message from someone. But then over time, people have felt you don't speak much about struggling. You speak more about an experience, which it's good and it's bad, and you are not ashamed to talk about the good, and allow Christ to reign in the bad. So that has made people one day I was summoned by a ministry leader whom I worked with some while back, and he was feeling like I am resigning towards this. He felt, why are you accepting? You were resigning towards it. You need to, and also myself, I struggled from him. He struggled masturbation, and he can't resign to this. That this is them. So in my coming out, it's been like that. I'm currently at the moment where people feel they love what I do. They love my passion for God. They love my adherence to what I have believed so far about what God says about marriage. Some people are at ease with that, but then they feel I don't talk against the LGBT community. and they feel you need to be talking against them. You need to be saying how they're sinful. Grant, your question was, sorry, I've forgotten. The question was on how that experience fits in with the larger LGBT community in Kenya.
Yeah, how does your experience fit in with the larger, I guess, conversation or interaction between like the LGBTQ community and maybe communities of faith? I know there's overlap between those two communities, obviously, but yeah, how does your story fit in to that bigger narrative?
I would say I've watched one or two movies here and there. I don't watch a lot. I read more than watch. So I have watched a few movies and had a few stories, and I would say, especially for people of faith, it is a struggle. It's a struggle because we whatever I knew about LGBT, in fact, over the past 1 year or 2 years is when I have really interacted with the people in the LGBT community, and it's not even me, just a few, because I'm still doing it scared, but also fearful of being found out as I'm interacting with these people. But the more I have come to meet them, the more I realize they're not the devouring lion, the roaring lions roaming around who are seeking for someone to devour.
Come on, 1 Peter 5-8. Yes, come on.
Yeah, so
they are my favorite passages, loving. Okay, I know
it. The people who are there's some that have their own needs. It's a world full of everyone, but I found loving people who are caring, people who are willing to support, to affirm. And so in the church we know of these people that are all evil, that are all devoted to a kind of sin, and who are willing to destroy the family unit. But then I come to this side and meet people who have stories, some stories very painful, other stories, so diverse stories, but people who have had to struggle in many ways to accept themselves and to create a space for themselves even before they were accepted largely. So that's how I could see it.
Okay. And, okay, Grant, are you or me?
You can you have a question.
Do you have one or do you not?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
Okay, I do. I think I have an observation. And, while we're in the United States here in Pride Month, smack dab in the middle of it, today is the 19th. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be the 23rd of June or something. And something we spoke about last time, listeners. Do we have a name for the listeners? I don't know. Anyways, I guess that's a question for Josh. But if I'm speaking directly to an audience, but it's something that struck us last time me and Grant and Steve and Josh spoke was that at one point in our conversation, I felt this. Oh, Grant and I and Josh kind of just have a community in a way that Steve doesn't have. Yet Steve seems to be such full of joy. Remember that moment? And I was just like, oh, because it struck me. I told a story about Grant and I last summer in St. Louis, and I was just putting my head on Grant's shoulder, just like that. And it was just a really sweet moment between Grant and I. And it's not something Grant and I need to worry about or think about. But then it kind of just I don't want to say sad. It made me more upset that Steve doesn't get to have community like that we do, even though I see Grant once a year, so certainly not going to see Grant all the time. But
yeah, come visit me or something.
Yeah, okay. Well, where y'all are coming to me this year in Dallas, honey. Y'all are coming to me in Texas.
That's true.
But yeah, come on, Revoice 21. But so Steve, as you look, so that when we talk to Steve, I promise I have a point here. But it's when we had that phone call, or we had that video chat, I was like, man, we really are privileged, even as gay people who oftentimes can be like, oh man, woe is us and blah, 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 which is certainly a persecution inside B, but also let me roll my eyes at that because we live in America and like persecution and even, see, I was about to say something problematic, but Grant's not here. Oh, well, I can't see him. I know he's here. But I'll say white gays want to be oppressed so bad. And like, I think American gays want to be oppressed so bad. And I'm just like, we have such privileges and freedoms that like, Steve doesn't just get to walk around and just like lay his head in whatever man's chest he wants. I get to do that, and I don't think twice about it. And I wish somebody would charge me up about that. But so all that to say, Steve, when you look at American side B culture or Megan culture, what is like something that like you wish we knew or could understand compared to your experience? I know that was a really long-winded way to ask a question, but I wanted to paint the whole ass picture so everybody had it. So.
I would say processing sexuality in our community is very empowering, very freeing, and very we all need that. And I pray I pray that the many of us, whether side A or side B or whichever side, on this side, I mean, and you guys who use sides, we don't. So whichever side you are in, it's empowering to process sexuality in a community, because I can tell you I would love to speak out my crushes so openly and without fear of rejection. But I can. I would love to. There are days when I wake up feeling very gay, and I don't know what that means to everyone who is listening, but it's just a feeling of today. I just feel this part of me needs to be. Someone needs to know about this. I need to tell a guy, some of them look really good, because today the beauty of the men that I'm meeting is just marvelous. And I can't do that. I can't do that. And those moments when I am, let's say it's on a Sunday, and I am supposed to lead the church, or maybe I am leading in intercessory prayer, and there's a moment when I am wondering, what if someone down here realized, or someone here shouted, "You're gay," and how will that look like? No matter the fact that I hold on to what the church teaches about marriage, about purity, about holiness, about all these things, how will that look for me? It leaves me every other time scared of the future. I am not sure how tomorrow look like. I'm not sure how. So in two ways, I would love to process all this out with people, but also would love to be assured that even after this podcast, when someone sees it, my life will not have to change. Which for you guys, you can talk about it. Grant can at times rant. You don't rant all the time, but at times rant. I just used to rant because of Grant.
No, you're right.
On Twitter about LGBT and faith and being Catholic, and the next day you'll be doing what you love. I can't. If you are followed, I think Grant and Henry too, we are friends on Facebook. If you read my conversations, I try to step as close as possible to my sexuality, but try to lean also as much as possible to my faith, in a way that though someone may be offended, I still want to. You realize I can't still say on a Facebook, "Hey everyone, I'm gay," or say "Happy Pride Month." I can't say that. I can only say "Happy Month," when in myself I know I just mean Happy Pride Month. I can only wear shorts in school when I'm feeling very gay, but I can't allow this to be seen like this is just me. So I am. It's a whole lot of many things, but I wish you guys show the opportunity to process this in community, but also to be assured of your next step, or that your life don't have to change to have a U-turn because of just being out and just processing this publicly.
Yeah.
I love that. And let me say, because honestly, y'all, this is the honest truth. I was thinking, even before we asked him that question, Steve gave that beautiful explanation of the differences of what our lives are in America versus him. Like, he can't say he has a crush on someone or this. Like, I mean, y'all saw, well, I don't know if we're going to actually have video for this recording, but like, I'm just crying, Grant crying. But it's like, I was thinking 10 minutes ago, I was like, I can't wait to tweet that, like, I have a crush on Grant Hartley. I literally was going to tweet that. And like, but it wouldn't affect my life one bit. And that's what Steve is saying. That's the thing, right? Like, I could literally, my cell phone right here, when we end this recording, oh my gosh, I have a crush on Grant Hartley. And like, he's the sweetest boo ever. I can tweet that. And I don't have to, like, Grant does not have to care what people think about that. I don't have to care what people think about that. Literally, like, Grant and I probably would never even talk about that because, like, we both know each other as friends. So it's just like, okay, whatever, sweetie girl, I'll see you next time. But, like, the fact that that's something that simple that I was thinking about 10 minutes before Steve gave us that answer, I was already planning on doing it. And I was just like, okay, because you know Grant, you know my little sweetie. Like, y'all know Grant's my sweetie, y'all. But, okay, don't tell Reuben Kendall that. Reuben Kendall's really my sweetie.
Oh my
gosh.
Like,
you're making me jealous.
Things like that. And, yeah, no, but Steve can't, y'all. It's like, that's why I was sitting here just overcome. It's like, we think, yes, we are going through a lot here as believers, but it's like, just what a simple reminder that Steve gave us that, like, most of us, I know some of us still live in fear, and, like, I respect where everyone is on their journey and their faith process. But, like, I mean, like, right now, I have on 5-inch seam shorts. They're short. And, I don't care. Like, I would wear them to church today and not care. What? But I would. You know, you've seen me wear them at Revoice. You've seen me wear these outfits. I mean, I grew up in Kenya and England, so I'm a modest girl. But, like, if I wanted to be, I would wear them. But I think that was just such a poignant reminder, what Steve shared with us here, as he's on side B, on the other side of the world, that, hey, our fellow side B'ers don't have the same luxuries we do. So even, like he said, he can say Happy Pride. And we're over here with our bees and our rainbows and whatnot, and we don't really have to... Yeah, it's a lot. But Grant, what did you think about Steve's answer? I thought that was really just... Because, like, literally, especially because I was going to aim that at you. I mean, you know, my crush on you is innocent, but it's true. So...
Yeah, I think what Henry and I both felt in our last conversation was just kind of an awe. We're so thankful.
My 7-year-old nephew.
Oh, hi. We're so thankful for you, and we're so thankful for the witness you have, and the stuff that you post on your website and the stuff that you post on Facebook. But I think another question I have is, like, we've talked a lot about the difficulty of sort of navigating this intersection of faith and sexuality in Kenya, but I was wondering if there's pieces of beauty or goodness or joy that you like, that immediately spring to mind that you'd like to share with us.
Redeeming queer culture. Come on, Grant Hartley. Redeeming queer culture.
I don't want to give the narrative that, like, everything about your life is bad. I think there's so much joy that you have.
Right?
And I want to know the secret to your joy.
Especially because
I want to know the secret.
Yeah, Stephen, let me tell you before you answer that. After you got off the last call with us, we stayed on the call, and something that Grant and Josh and I spoke about was that despite your circumstances, you are still so joyful, and you're such an infectious person, and like, so yeah. like Grant said, we don't want to seem like woe is me, woe is Steve, like let's make his life bad. But like, yeah, you are joyful. So can you tell us about like what are the things in your life that bring you joy and then you find goodness with sexuality and faith and everything? Because like to me, I was like, damn, he's in Kenya, my home country. He's happy. I was like, Grant, what are we doing? Okay, let's get some of that joy, right?
What are we doing?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. My quick one is the Lord is my strength. The Lord is my joy. But for sure He is. I can assure you. If anything, my sexuality has made me know God more, or in any way has been used by God to lead me more to Him. Yeah, it's the thing that in many ways makes me understand where I'm at so far in faith. The sense of I flex my faith meter, my spiritual meter. It's that's one thing that God has used me to draw me closer to Him. So the Lord is really my strength and my joy. I would say this happens every other day when someone compliments me and tells me, "Oh, Steve, you're very caring. You love people so much." I'm like, "Yo, because I'm gay." I can tell them that, but in my head it's like I've been able to. I've been able
And now let's plug in Wesley Hill's book right there. Wesley. No,
Yeah.
Wesley Hill said in his book that some of us, I think, part of being gay is we have a bigger capacity to love others because yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Grant, we got some answer questions. Why are you so happy? Because I'm gay. Why are you such a
Okay, Henry, let him talk more. You're interrupting.
Well, I'm just dying at his answer.
Let the man
Steve,
speak.
sorry, I'm dying at your answer. That was good.
Yeah, and actually, by the way, Henry, also they say in English, the archaic meaning of the word gay, happy, excited. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe I love people more because of this is how my experience made me to love people more, and also I am even in my writing, and this has been seen more in my conversation. I am more sensitive to people that are different, people that may be considered in quotes not normal. People in society may not put it in. People who could be in extreme. My heart goes out for them time to time, purely because of my experience. And so the other day I was thinking, if an angel of the Lord appeared to me and asked me, would you want to have a different experience? Like, would you want to have an experience like your friend who will call himself straight? I'm like, well, I will struggle fast, but I would have conditions that as far as you allow me to lean on what some of the things I'm experiencing now that have made me closer to you, that have made me love people better, that have made me. But I am a better friend to my male friends, I believe, because of the fact that many of them make my heart miss a bit. So I would not that to be taken away. I would want to love. I would want that to be there. And maybe if the angel allows whatever draws me away from God as regard to my sexuality, then I am gladly willing to have that. But so yes, that's how I could say it. There's some much beauty in this, in spite.
So, Josh, I know Josh really isn't chiming in on this episode, so Grant, you and I just getting kiki and chat with Steve. That was part one of the conversation. What did you think of that? I mean, I know we both cried and everything, so like that was just part one, y'all. Part one.
I mean, again, I'm just in awe. I'm so thankful for him and for his story and for his openness and for his joy. And I really think he's taught me so much about the Lord being my strength. And I think I needed that reminder. It's just so refreshing to hear from him. And it's so exciting, I think, to think of like most of the people that I talk to who are LGBTQ and Christian and subscribe to a traditional sexual ethic are in North America. And so it's so exciting to think that like, wow, I'm really not alone. Like there are really people spread out over the whole earth. And I just want to meet him, and I just want to give him a big old hug.
I mean, oh my gosh, like, Grant, what you just said is so poignant, because like sometimes we can often feel, especially like in our North American experience or Western experiences, like nobody else is going through this, but like the Lord has placed people in other parts of the world that are going through the same things we're going through, and that can encourage us. Like you and I just got so encouraged by part one of this conversation with Steve, and I mean, it was just so beautiful, and like the joy he does have, he really does have a joy for the Lord, right? And I'm just like so really humbled by the conversation we got to have. How oftentimes when you interview people, you ask them questions, you're like, oh, I have something to show you. But they're teaching us so much. I'm like, he could have probably had this whole conversation with himself on the podcast, and I'd have tuned in for an hour and a half. I'd have been like, okay,
bring out the popcorn. I would be like, I would eat that up. Eat it up.
Yes. Yes. And luckily for y'all, we are in a different time zone with Steve, so we're going to take a little break. And part two of the conversation will be back probably by the time Josh edits it. It'll just seem like a couple seconds to y'all. It'll be a couple minutes to us, but a couple seconds to y'all. So, okay, Josh, bring us back in here in a little bit.
That was great.